You know, pretty much every single website you visit, from your social media feeds to your online banking, it all runs on one language. But its origin story isn't some simple tale of creation. Oh, no. It's a story of intense rivalry and a crazy rush to bring a static, boring web to life. Today, we're diving into the story of JavaScript.
To really get why JavaScript is such a big deal, you have to imagine a world without it. Just for a second, what if the web was, well, still just a collection of static pages? No cool animations, no interactive forms that tell you when you've made a mistake, no real-time updates, just text, and those classic blue underlined links. That's it.
Because honestly, that's exactly what the early web was. It was basically this giant digital library, mostly for scientific papers and documents. You'd click a hyperlink, you'd wait, and wait for a completely new page to load from the server, you'd read it, and then you'd click again. Super simple, sure, but not very dynamic, was it?
So as the web started to get more popular, developers felt this growing frustration. They wanted to build richer, more interactive things for people. A perfect example is something as simple as form validation. Back then, if you typed your email address wrong, you had to hit submit, wait for the server to process everything, only to get a whole new page back telling you to go back and fix it. It was just so slow and clunky.
This need, this desire for a more dynamic web, really set the stage for a brand new kind of language. Something totally different, something that could run right inside the user's browser and bring those static pages to life.
All right, so picture this. The year is 1995. The company is Netscape, and they make the most popular web browser in the world. A developer there, a guy named Brendan Eich, is given this monumental task: create a new language for the web and do it fast. His creation was originally called LiveScript.
But then, right before it shipped out to the world in Netscape 2.0, it got a brand new name. Now, this was mostly a marketing move, to be honest. It was renamed JavaScript, and its purpose was simple but absolutely revolutionary. Give web developers the power to use little snippets of code to change the otherwise static parts of a web page right there in the browser without waiting for the server.
And people loved it. But this huge success kicked off one of the most famous rivalries in all of tech history, the browser wars. And this war would first create a ton of chaos, but ultimately it would lead to the language that we all know and use today. So, Microsoft sees how popular JavaScript is becoming, and they know they need their own version for their browser, Internet Explorer. So what do? They actually reverse engineered JavaScript and released their own implementation in Internet Explorer 3.0, and they called it JScript. And for developers, oh, this was a total nightmare. Now you have two slightly different versions of the same language. So code that worked perfectly fine in Netscape would just break in Internet Explorer, and the other way around. You basically had to write everything twice. It was a massive headache.
Something had to give. I mean, this chaos of competing versions just couldn't last if the web was going to grow up. The industry desperately needed a single, unified standard that all the browsers could agree to follow.
And the solution was standardization. Netscape took the language to an international standards body called ECMA. The result was a new, official, totally browser-neutral specification called ECMA 262. The language defined by this new standard was given a new name, ECMAScript.
You know, that whole standardization effort is pretty much the reason JavaScript is still with us today. But it also means that when we say JavaScript now, in a modern context, we're actually talking about three distinct pieces all working together. So let's break that down.
Yeah, so don't think of JavaScript as just one single thing. It's more like an umbrella term that covers three core components, all working in perfect harmony to make the magic happen.
So what are these three pieces? Well, you've got 1, the core language itself. That's ECMAScript. 2, a way to interact with the content on the page. That's the DOM. And 3, a way to interact with the browser window itself. The BOM.
Okay, so first up is ECMAScript. This is the official standard, the core language. Think of it as the grammar and the vocabulary. It defines the syntax, the keywords like function, all the rules for loops and variables. What's really crucial here is that this part is totally independent of the browser. You can even use it on web servers with stuff like Node.js. Next, we have the DOM, which stands for the Document Object Model. Now, this is the bridge that connects your script to the actual web page. It basically represents the HTML document as a kind of tree of objects, so your code can reach in and add, remove, or change literally anything on the page, like making a button change color when you click it. This part is standardized by the W3C.
And finally, there's the BOM, the Browser Object Model. So if the DOM controls the page content, the BOM controls the browser itself.
It's like the browser's control panel. It lets you do things like open a new window, or redirect the user to a different page, or even get the size of their screen. For the longest time, this part wasn't standardized at all, but HTML5 has started to formalize some of its most common features.
So let's put that all together real quick. You've got ECMScript, that's the core language, standardized by ECMA. Then you have the DOM for messing with the page content, and that's standardized by the W3C. And finally, you've got the BOM for controlling the browser window, which is now partially standardized by HTML5.
And you know, all of this technical stuff, ECMAScript, the DOM, the BOM, all of it grew from that one simple need that we talked about at the beginning. As one of the original sources puts it, the ability to alter otherwise static elements of a web page was embraced by the webmaster community. And really, that foundational idea is still what makes JavaScript so incredibly powerful today.
So what started out as a simple script cooked up in a rush just to make web pages a little more interesting somehow managed to survive the browser wars, become a global standard, and evolve into the absolute powerhouse that drives the dynamic web that we all use every single day.
And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? The JavaScript we have today was literally forged in the fire of competition. It really makes you wonder, in today's landscape of massive tech companies, where will the next great web innovation come from? Thanks for joining our explanation.